They'd seen hundreds of kids walk through the shelter doors. Some cried, some smiled, some tugged their parents' hands excitedly, but none of them were like Ava. She walked in without a word. 8 years old, tiny frame, dull eyes. She didn't glance at the row of yapping puppies or the excited beagle wagging his tail for attention. She didn't even flinch when a Labrador barked right next to her ear. She just walked quietly, all the way to the end, and then she stopped. In the very last cage, barely lit by the overhead light, lay a German shepherd. Not young, not playful. He didn't move. One ear flopped oddly, and a scar ran from his shoulder to his ribs. His eyes were open, but empty. The tag above him read, Titan, no history. Ava sat down, cross-legged, silent, just staring at him. The shelter worker, Dana, noticed. "Sweetheart, the puppies are over here," she said gently. "Do you want me to show you?" Ava didn't blink, didn't respond. Her foster mother, Miriam, whispered, "She hasn't spoken since we got here." Since the last placement didn't work out. Dana crouched beside her. "Hey, hon, that dog's a little older. He's been through some rough stuff. Maybe you'd like someone who can play fetch." Still, no answer. Only Ava's eyes, locked on the dog who hadn't moved a muscle. Titan, for his part, didn't react either. He just breathed, slow and quiet, as if life was something he wasn't sure he wanted to keep doing. "Maybe just give her a few minutes," Miriam suggested. She's looking for something. I don't know what." Dana sighed. "All right, we'll be nearby if you need anything." They stepped back. Minutes passed. 5, 10, then 15, and then it happened. Titan's paw moved. Just slightly his nose twitched. And for the first time in days, he looked, not at the staff, not at the walls, at her. His eyes met Ava's. That moment felt different, like something ancient was being remembered. A flicker in both their faces, a pull neither of them could explain. Dana was watching from behind the desk. She leaned toward Miriam. "That dog hasn't moved since he got here. Didn't eat, didn't bark, but look at him now." Ava slowly reached her hand toward the cage bars. Not touching, just offering. Her fingers trembled. Her lips moved, a whisper. "I'm not leaving without him." Miriam blinked. "Did she just—" "She spoke," Dana said, stunned. "That's the first time." Miriam nodded. Yes. Ava didn't speak again. She just sat there, hands still out, eyes still locked on Titan. Dana walked over slowly. "Honey, he's not up for adoption yet. He needs treatment, recovery. We don't know his full background." Ava said nothing. Dana crouched down. "He might never be the same, sweetheart." Still no response. But Titan, weak as he was, pushed himself an inch forward, then another. With a painful grunt, he dragged his body close enough to rest his nose near her fingers. Ava smiled, not big, not wide, just enough to crack the sadness in her face. That night, after the shelter closed, Dana stayed late. She stood by Titan's cage, watching. "He hasn't let anyone near him," she told Jonah, the assistant. "Not even me." Jonah shrugged. "Maybe she reminds him of something. Someone." Dana stared at the pair. Ava was still sitting, dozing slightly, her hand resting near the bars. Titan hadn't moved either, just watching her, guarding her, like something ancient in his bones had come back. Jonah asked, "Should we call her caseworker?" Dana shook her head. "Not yet. Let's see what tomorrow brings." The next morning, Ava was back. First in line, before the doors even opened. She didn't go to the other dogs, didn't wave at the staff, just walked to Titan's cage like nothing else existed. When Dana tried to guide her away, Ava whispered again, "I'm staying here." Dana sighed. "Sweetheart, you can't sleep in the shelter. I'll just sit." "She's serious," Jonah said, peering over. "She didn't blink when I said we had cupcakes in the break room." Dana chuckled softly. "All right, just today." By mid-morning, Titan sat up fully for the first time. He ate half a bowl of food. By afternoon, he drank water on his own. By evening, he stood on all fours. "It's like he's healing with her," Jonah muttered, scribbling notes on the medical log. "This doesn't make sense." Dana folded her arms. "Maybe it doesn't have to." Miriam came back later that day, concern on her face. "I've never seen her like this." Dana nodded. "They chose each other. But I can't adopt a dog," Miriam said quietly. "I'm just her temporary placement." Dana looked back at the girl and the dog sitting in silence. "I don't think she's going to let him go." That night, when they told Ava it was time to leave, she stood up slowly. Titan whimpered. "I'll be back," Ava said. Her voice was small, but clear. Titan stared after her until the doors shut behind her. Later, Dana sat in her office, looking at Titan's intake form. No microchip, no collar, no history. Just found wandering the outskirts of town, near an old, burned structure, barely breathing. She flipped the page. Something in the intake notes caught her eye. Found lying in the ruins. Refused to leave the site. Burn marks along the back. No visible tags. Malnourished, scared, silent. Dana whispered, "Where did you come from, old boy?" She looked through the glass at the cage. Titan was curled up, his nose resting where Ava's hand had been. And for the first time since he'd arrived, his eyes closed peacefully. If you feel connected to this story, please like, share, and let know your city or country below. Titan didn't sleep that night. Every time the door creaked or a cat meowed across the hallway, his ears perked, body tense. But his eyes always drifted back to the empty spot by the cage, the spot where Ava had been sitting. He waited. By morning, before the sun touched the windows, Titan was already on his feet, weak, wobbly, but standing. The staff arrived to find him facing the door. Jonah was the first to notice. "Well, that's new." Titan didn't growl, didn't bark, but he stared at the front entrance like he was expecting someone. And at 9:01 a.m. she arrived. Ava stepped in quietly, her backpack slipping off one shoulder. She walked straight to the last cage without saying a word. Titan didn't move. He just waited for her to sit down. When she did, he lay back down, his nose resting against the bars, inches from her fingers. Dana watched from the desk, arms folded. He hasn't done that for anyone else. No one else makes him move. Jonah added. It's like he knew she was coming. Dana looked down at the intake report again. He was found in a drainage pipe just outside town. Animal control said he was barely alive. No tags, no chip, nothing. They scanned him twice. She flipped the page. Burn scars, multiple, mostly healed, but no sign of where he came from. Jonah leaned closer. So we've got a silent dog with no history, and a girl who hasn't spoken to anyone but him. Dana nodded slowly. That's about right. Ava pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from her backpack. She unfolded it carefully and began drawing something with a stubby blue pencil. Titan watched every line she made. She drew a house, then flames, then a dog bigger than the others, and a girl standing beside him. Dana noticed. "What's she drawing? Looks like a house fire," Jonah said. When the picture was done, Ava slid it through the bars. Titan sniffed it once, then rested his paw on it. Ava whispered, "That was you." Jonah's brow furrowed. "Did she just say?" Dana nodded, whispering, "She thinks she knows him." "I don't think she thinks it," Jonah said. "She knows it." Later that day, Titan ate a full bowl of food, the first since arriving. He chewed slowly, as if tasting for the first time in years. "Ava," Dana said gently, kneeling beside her, "do you know this dog from somewhere?" Ava didn't speak. "Maybe from before." She just shook her head once. "Then how do you know his name?" "I don't," Ava said softly. "But he knows me." Titan leaned closer, his head resting fully against the bars. That night, Jonah stayed behind to update the file. He flipped through Titan's report again, frowning. "No one reported a missing German Shepherd in that area," he muttered. "But the burn scars match the fire zone. Same week that girl was found." He opened Ava's old foster case. Her file had photos, details, her original address, and suddenly he saw it. The address where she was found. It was just 2 streets away from where Titan had been discovered. Jonah's voice went quiet. "No way." The next day he pulled Dana aside. "We need to dig into her case file. I think there's something here." "You think that dog is from her past?" "I think he is her past." Meanwhile, Ava sat in the same spot, now humming gently. Titan closed his eyes, the sound calming him. He didn't flinch when other dogs barked, didn't move when people walked by. Only her. Later, a volunteer named Megan approached with a chew toy. "Want to try, boy?" she said, tossing it gently into the cage. Titan didn't even glance at it, but the moment Ava said, "It's okay," Titan stood, walked over, and picked it up. Megan blinked. "Okay, that's spooky." Jonah chuckled. "It's not spooky, it's memory." Dana came over quietly, sitting beside Ava. "Sweetheart, can you tell us what happened to your dog?" Ava looked down, then pointed at the drawing again. "He pushed me out the back door," she said. "When the fire started, I never saw him again." Dana felt a chill run up her spine. "What was his name?" Ava looked at Titan. "I called him Rex," she whispered. Jonah, standing behind the desk, gripped the edge tightly. Rex. He opened the medical form again. Titan had a healed fracture on his front leg. Same leg Ava had drawn with a red mark on. "The paper, Dana," he said quietly. "I think Titan is Rex." "We can't be sure," she replied. "But what if we are? What if that's her dog? What if he found his way back?" Megan whispered, "That would explain everything." That evening, when the lights dimmed and the visitors left, Titan stayed on his feet, waiting, watching, until Ava finally stood up. "I'll come back," she told him. Titan didn't whine, but the way his ears dropped, it said, "Enough." Dana stayed late again, staring at the cage. "This dog," she said, "he didn't just survive. He remembered." Jonah nodded. So did she. The next morning, they tried something different. They brought Titan into the visiting room. Without the cage between them, Ava walked in slowly. Titan stood still, uncertain. Then she opened her arms. "Rex," she said. He paused, then took one step, then another, and then he ran straight into her arms. Ava fell to her knees as the old dog leaned into her, trembling, nuzzling into her chest like he was coming home after years lost at sea. Tears welled in Dana's eyes. "That's not a shelter dog," Jonah whispered. "That's a reunion." Jonah couldn't stop staring at the photo. Ava, just a year younger, smiling with her parents, holding a German Shepherd puppy in her lap. The name scribbled on the back in faded ink. Rex's first Christmas. He looked through the glass wall again. Ava and Titan were sitting in the same spot, her hand pressed softly against the bars, Titan's head resting near it. "She doesn't even want snacks," Jonah whispered. "I offered cookies. She ignored me." Dana sighed. "I can't approve a foster night trial, Jonah. That dog's still in recovery. He's not medically cleared, but he's responding to her. You saw what happened yesterday. He ran into her arms." Dana rubbed her temple. "If something goes wrong, the shelter is liable." Just then, Ava's foster mom, Miriam, walked in with a heavy expression. "Can I speak to you both?" Dana nodded, leading her to the back office. Miriam sat down and took a deep breath. Ava didn't sleep last night. She stayed up drawing pictures of that dog. "She won't eat, won't talk. She said he's waiting for her." "She said that?" Dana asked. "She did," Miriam nodded. "We've been fostering for 6 years. We've never seen a child bond like this." Jonah leaned forward. "Please, Dana, one night. Just let them try." Dana hesitated. "I can't sign it off without a vet's note." "Then I'll call Dr. Reese right now," Jonah said, pulling out his phone. "Let's ask him." Minutes later, after a tense call and a long pause, Dr. Reese agreed with conditions. Titan had to be monitored. Ava couldn't sleep unsupervised near him, and he had to return first thing in the morning. Dana still looked unsure. Miriam pleaded, "Please, this isn't about adoption. It's about giving her one peaceful night." Dana looked toward the glass again. Ava was now lying down, her fingers still barely brushing Titan's paw. Finally, she whispered, "All right, just one night." Miriam's eyes watered. "Thank you." That evening, Jonah helped load Titan into the back of Miriam's car. Ava sat beside him, holding his paw the whole way. "He's okay, right?" she asked. Jonah smiled. "He's more than okay. He's going home. At least for one night." At the house, Titan took slow steps around the living room. He sniffed the couch, the kitchen table, the stairs. Then, with a soft groan, he lay down beside Ava's small sleeping mat near the fireplace. "He remembers," Ava whispered. Miriam watched them both. "I think he does." Dinner was quiet. Ava fed Titan by hand. Small bites, gentle touches. He ate everything. Every last bit. "He's never eaten that much," Miriam said, amazed. Ava smiled faintly. "He used to love chicken." That night, Ava curled beside Titan on her mat. The room was warm, the fire low. Miriam set a baby monitor nearby and stepped out, watching silently from the hallway. Inside the room, Titan shifted closer. Slowly, carefully, he pressed one paw through the blanket, touching Ava's fingers. She turned slightly in her sleep and wrapped her hand around it. The next morning, when Jonah arrived to pick Titan up, he found the two of them still in the same position. "She never moved," Miriam said. Neither did he. Jonah crouched beside the old dog. "Morning, buddy. You ready to head back?" Titan looked up, but didn't move. "We'll be back," Ava whispered, sitting up. "Right," Miriam nodded. "Yes, sweetie, we promised." Back at the shelter, Dana stood by the gate, arms crossed. Well, she asked. They slept like rocks. Jonah grinned, and Titan's appetite doubled. Dana raised an eyebrow. You're telling me that one night did all that? I'm telling you, Miriam said softly, that he's her dog. Somehow, some way, he never stopped waiting for her. Inside the kennel, Titan paced back and forth, watching the door. He didn't settle until Ava returned an hour later after school. The moment she walked in, he lay down again, his breathing calm. That evening, Dana sat with Jonah reviewing notes. She calls him Rex. That's his real name, Jonah replied, and he responds to it. So what are we supposed to do with that? Jonah thought for a moment. We make a deal. Dana glanced up. What kind of deal? Let Ava visit every day after school. Let them be together. In return, we keep monitoring Titan's recovery. And if the foster home can't keep him, Jonah hesitated, then we find someone who can. Someone who understands what this dog means to that girl. Dana looked toward the hallway, toward the faint sound of a girl's voice reading to a dog who had once forgotten how to trust. She already made that decision, Dana said. We're just catching up. By the next afternoon, Titan was waiting at the gate before Ava even arrived. The moment he heard her footsteps, his tail thumped once slow, uncertain, but real. Ava dropped her backpack and ran toward the cage. I told you I'd come back. She whispered. Titan stood up. Not all the way, but enough to show her he'd been listening. Ava smiled and pressed her fingers to the bars. He leaned his head against them without hesitation. Jonah watched from across the room. That dog was dead inside a week ago, he said quietly. Now he acts like he has something to live for. Dana nodded. He does. Each day after that, Ava came straight from school. Same routine. Sit by the cage, talk softly, draw pictures, feed him small pieces of chicken. Titan grew stronger. His legs, once stiff and shaking, started to carry him. Around the kennel, first 5 steps, then 10. Jonah timed it once. He followed her for 30 seconds straight. No leash, no hesitation. Dana smiled. He's not just walking, he's choosing. Ava sat beside Titan's cage, sketching again with a worn-down pencil. This time, it wasn't just a house. And a dog. She added flames, smoke, a little girl in a window. What's your drawing, sweetheart? Megan, one of the volunteers, asked gently. Ava looked up, her voice low. My house, the fire. Megan knelt beside her. That's you in the window. Ava nodded. And who's that outside? She pointed to the dog. Rex. He got me out. He pushed me through the back door. Megan blinked. He saved you. Ava nodded again. But then he disappeared. Titan nuzzled her side gently. Dana watched all of it unfold from the desk. Eyes locked on the interaction. Still think it's just a coincidence? Jonah asked. I don't know what it is, Dana whispered, but I'm starting to think it's bigger than us. The next week, Titan was moved to a private room during Ava's visits. The cage door stayed open. He didn't need it anymore. The first time Ava entered the room, Titan limped toward her. Not fast, not graceful, but determined. He leaned his full weight into her chest, pressing his face against her shoulder. Hi, buddy, she whispered. You're walking again. She rubbed the back of his neck and smiled. Titan's tail wagged harder. Later, Dana stepped in to clean the room. She noticed another new drawing lying on the floor beside Ava's bag. It was almost identical to the last, but this time, the flames were smaller. The house looked less damaged, And the dog? Standing taller. She's healing too, Dana murmured. Jonah stood in the doorway. They're fixing each other. Every step Titan took that week was because Ava was near. He wouldn't move for anyone else. Wouldn't eat unless she fed. Him wouldn't sleep unless her voice had calmed him down first. You know what this is? Megan asked one afternoon. What? It's like they never stopped looking for each other. By Friday, something even more surprising happened. Ava laughed. It was quiet. Just a breath of a giggle. But Clear Dot Titan had slipped while chasing a paper ball she rolled toward him. Instead of growling or giving up, he sat there, tongue out, tail thumping like a drum. Ava clapped her hands. You're silly, she said, still a puppy inside. Dana peeked through the window, eyes glassy. That sound, I've never heard her laugh before. Then that dog's doing more than healing, Jonah said. He's waking her up. A few days later, Ava brought in another drawing. This one was different. It showed a new house. No fire, no smoke. Just her, Titan, and 2 smiling adults. Is that where you live now? Dana asked gently. Ava shook her head. Not yet. Jonah leaned down. But that's where you want to live. Ava smiled. With him, somewhere safe. That evening, when Titan laid down, he did something no one expected. He rolled over slowly and rested his head in Ava's lap. A full surrender. Trust, without walls. Ava whispered, I missed you. Miriam came to pick her up, but stopped in the doorway, watching quietly. I don't think we can separate them, she said. No, Dana replied. I don't think we should. Outside the shelter, as Ava buckled into the car, she turned to Jonah and asked, Do you think he remembers me? Jonah smiled. I think he never forgot. Back inside, Dana stared at the intake photo of Titan. The day he arrived, half-starved, soaked in mud, eyes completely hollow. She looked at him now, curled peacefully in the corner of the playroom. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. Jonah sat alone in the break room. The sounds of barking echoing faintly from the kennels. The shelter was quiet now. Everyone else had gone home. But something about Ava's drawings kept pulling at him. The way she described the fire. The way Titan reacted to her voice. The way she said, He got me out. He opened the file cabinet labeled Child Services Transfer. Cases. It took some digging, but finally, he found it. Ava Sinclair, age 6 at the time of placement. Transferred into emergency foster care after surviving a house fire. Just outside town. Jonah sat back down and opened the folder. First page, intake notes. Child found wandering barefoot near Woodland Edge, east side of Laurel Creek. House. Confirmed destroyed. No survivors inside. He flipped further. There were photos, burnt remains of the home, blackened wood, melted toys. Then he saw her, a tiny girl, wrapped in a fire blanket, dirt on her cheeks, holding something. He leaned. Closer, it was a stuffed animal. No, not a toy it was, a dog collar. Jonah blinked. No way. He flipped to the interview notes. Child kept repeating. He pushed me out. Rex saved me. Jonah whispered, Rex. He reached into the folder again and found a copy of a photo, half burned but still visible, Ava, her parents, and a large German shepherd, sitting proudly at her feet. Jonah froze. He picked up his phone and pulled up the intake image of Titan from the day he was rescued. Then he looked at the photo of Rex. Same coat pattern, same thick neck fur, same dark eyes. He leaned closer, his breath catching. Please don't be the same, he muttered. Because if you are. He ran a comparison, pulled up shelter medical records. Titan had healed scars down his left rib. One of the fire rescue reports from Ava's case mentioned a German shepherd seen limping away from the wreckage. Why? Didn't anyone put this together? Jonah whispered. Just then, Dana stepped into the break room. You're still here. Jonah looked up, shaken. Yeah, I found something. Dana saw the files spread across the table. That's her case. File, he nodded. Did you ever read the whole thing? Dana frowned. No, it wasn't our job. She was already in foster care when she got here. He pushed the photo toward her look. She picked it up, and her eyes widened. That's him. I think so too. Dana sat down slowly. Jonah. Are you saying Titan is her old dog? I'm saying Titan is Rex. Dana stared at the photos, but he had no chip, no collar. We had no name. He was found near Laurel Creek, Jonah added. That's where Ava was found 2 years ago. Dana covered her mouth. Oh my God. He showed her the drawing Ava made last week. The house, the fire, the dog, all drawn from memory. I thought it was just a trauma response, Dana whispered, but she remembered it all. Jonah leaned back, and somehow he did too. Dana said quietly, that's why he didn't connect with anyone else. He was waiting. They both sat in silence. After a moment, Dana whispered, we can't ignore this. Jonah looked at her. You want to tell the foster system? She shook her head. Not yet. Not until we're sure. The next morning, they watched Ava walk into the shelter. Titan stood instantly, tail moving. He limped toward the door. Waiting. Ava knelt and hugged him through the bars. I told you I'd come back. Titan whined softly, licking her wrist. Dana whispered to Jonah, look at him. That's not behavior, that's memory. Later that day, Jonah sat with Ava at the coloring table. She was quiet, focused on a new drawing. What are you working on? He asked. She pointed him. It was a picture of Titan, strong, healthy, next to her in a yard with a swing. Is that you two at your new house? She shook her head. That's the old one, before the fire. Jonah hesitated. Ava, what happened that night? She looked down. Do you remember? I was in bed, she whispered. Then I smelled smoke. Mummy yelled. Daddy ran to my door. Jonah waited, but Rex got there first, she said softly. He pulled my blanket and barked. I ran after him. He pushed open the back door. Jonah's voice cracked. And then, he didn't follow me, she said. I waited. He never came. She looked up at Jonah. But now he's back. Jonah swallowed hard. You really believe Titan is Rex? Ava nodded. I don't believe it. I know it. Later that night, Jonah opened the old photo again. He stared at the way Rex looked at Ava in the picture. Protective, loyal. Then he glanced at the security feed. Titan, curled beside the cage bars, eyes still open. Watching the door. The hallway was dark and quiet. Most of the shelter animals had settled in for the night, soft snores echoing faintly from the kennels. But then, a sharp bark broke through the silence. Jonah looked up from his office. Another bark, this one. Louder, it was Titan. Jonah rushed down the corridor. When he reached the kennel, Titan was thrashing in his sleep, growling, pawing at the air, eyes shut tight. Hey, hey. Easy boy, Jonah said, kneeling by the cage. Titan barked again, louder this time, then he whimpered. Jonah gently called out, "Titan, wake up, buddy. You're okay." But the dog didn't stop. His body was stiff, trembling like he was reliving something terrifying. Suddenly, soft footsteps echoed down the hallway. Ava appeared, barefoot, still in her pajamas. "I heard him," she whispered. Jonah frowned. "Ava, what are you doing here?" "I couldn't sleep," she said. "I had a bad dream, and then I heard him." She knelt beside Titan's cage. "Rex," she whispered, "it's me." Titan's body twitched, then slowly relaxed. His paws dropped. His breathing calmed. He opened his eyes in the panic. Faded Ava pressed her fingers through the bars. "You remember too, don't you?" Titan crawled closer and laid his head beneath her hand. Jonah stood in silence. The next morning, Dana sat in the staff lounge, coffee untouched. The counselor from Ava's foster agency, Rebecca, sat across from her. "Jonah told me what happened," Rebecca said. "The nightmare, the barking, Ava showing up." Dana nodded slowly. "It's not the first time he's done that. But this one was worse." "He's reliving it," Rebecca said. Dana glanced at the security footage on her tablet. It showed Titan shaking in his sleep and Ava kneeling by the cage. As soon as she arrived, everything stopped. "I think he sees the fire every time he sleeps," Dana whispered. Rebecca folded her hands. "PTSD. It happens to animals too, especially ones that survive trauma." "He wasn't just scared," Dana said. "He was remembering." Rebecca leaned in. "That's not just any dog. That's her dog. But he's different now. Damaged." Dana's voice cracked. "So is she." Later that afternoon, Ava came back to the shelter with her sketchbook in hand. Titan perked up immediately. "Hey boy," she said gently. "I brought more drawings." She sat beside his cage and flipped open the book. "This one's us in the backyard," she said, pointing. "Before the fire, you were chasing butterflies." Titan tilted his head, as if listening. Ava turned the page. "This one's after the fire. It's you, alone. I didn't know where you went." Titan licked her fingers gently. Jonah stood nearby, his arms crossed. "She dreams about it too," he told Dana. "Her foster mom said she wakes up, calling for him." Dana's voice was low. "They're not healing. They're surviving together." That evening, Dana sat across from Rebecca again. "I keep thinking about what you said, that he's different now." "He is," Rebecca replied. "But that doesn't mean he's broken." Dana hesitated. Would a reunion like this help or hurt her? Rebecca paused. "It depends. If he stays, he might help her move forward. If he leaves again, it'll destroy her." Back in the kennel, Ava kept whispering to Titan. "I had that dream again," she said. "The one where the fire comes through my window. But this time, you barked louder. You woke me up." Titan let out a soft huff and leaned against the cage bars. Jonah sat outside the room, watching. "They're like pieces of the same story," he said. Dana nodded. "It's just not over yet." The next morning, Titan's barking echoed down the hall again, but this time, he woke himself up. No thrashing, just one loud bark, and then silence. When Ava arrived, he greeted her at the door. "You got through the night," she smiled. "I'm proud of you." She reached out, and Titan licked her palm. Jonah watched them, then turned to Dana. "He's fighting it. And she's helping him win," Dana added softly. Rebecca stood behind them both. "If they're going to make it, they need to be together full time." Dana looked uncertain. We can't approve an adoption just yet, Rebecca said. Then start the process. Jonah couldn't stop thinking about it. That bark in the middle of the night. The way Titan froze in his sleep, like something haunted him. And Ava showing up just when he needed her. Again, he sat down at the shelter computer and opened the city vet records. He typed in the basics: German Shepherd, burn scars, found within a 10-mile radius. Date range, 2 years back. Most entries were routine. Lost dogs, minor injuries, reunions. But one report made him stop. Adult male German Shepherd, burn damage to rear leg and torso. Found limping near Cedar Street Woods. Estimated age: 4 years. New collar. New microsheepy. Rescued by fire unit but never claimed. Held 3 weeks. Transferred to rural holding facility. Escaped before relocation. Cedar Street. That was Ava's neighborhood. Jonah leaned back. It's him. He printed the report and ran straight to Dana's office. Look at this, he said, placing the paper on her desk. Same timeline, same description. That was 2 weeks after the fire. Dana scanned it. Burn scars. German Shepherd. Cedar Street. No one ever claimed him, Jonah said. They moved him to a holding center and he ran off. No one ever saw him again until now. Dana looked up. That's 2 winters ago. Jonah nodded, which means Titan Rex was surviving. Alone all this time. Dana exhaled. How does a house dog survive that long in the wild? Jonah shook his head. I don't know, but he did. She looked back at the report. Why didn't he come back to her? Or bark when she called him Rex? Jonah hesitated. Maybe he didn't remember right away. Maybe he buried it. Or maybe, Dana whispered, he thought she didn't make it. That thought settled like a stone in the room. Jonah left the office and found Ava sitting beside Titan again. She was braiding a few strands of string into a loop. What are you making? He asked. A collar, she said, for when he gets to come home. Jonah smiled softly. It's beautiful. Ava looked up. He used to have one. Read it. Burned in the fire. She placed the new collar on the floor near Titan's paws. This one's for now. Titan nudged it gently with his nose. Later that day, Dana gathered the team in the staff room. We found a report, she said. A burned dog was picked up 2 years ago, near Ava's house. Never claimed, never identified. Jonah added, he escaped before he was transferred. No one knew where he went. Rebecca folded her arms, and now he's here. It has to be him, Dana said. Too many things line up. Then why didn't he act like it before? Megan asked. Why wait this long to connect? Rebecca said, because trauma doesn't follow a schedule. He wasn't just hurt, he was lost. Inside, Jonah nodded, and now he's waking up. That evening, after hours, Dana pulled Ava aside. Sweetheart, she said gently, can I ask you something? Ava nodded, double quotes. Do you remember what Rex's scars looked like? Ava looked down. He had a big one on his side. After the fire, he got burned pushing me out the door. Dana showed her a diagram. Is this where the scar was? Ava pointed. Yes, right there. Jonah glanced at Titan's chart. It matched exactly, Dana smiled. Then I think we can stop wondering. Ava's eyes lit up. So, it's really him. Dana nodded. Yes, honey, it's really Rex. Ava leaned into Titan, hugging him tightly. I knew you'd come back. Titan whined softly, pressing his head against her shoulder. Later, when the shelter was quiet, Jonah sat in the office and stared at the map. Cedar Street, to the creek, to the woods. Then gone for nearly 2 years. He whispered, "How did you survive?" He imagined Rex alone, hungry, scared, sleeping under porches, running from loud cars, healing without help, waiting for a face he thought he'd never see again. And somehow, through it all, he made it. He made it back to her. By now, no one at the shelter called him Titan anymore. Not even on the logs. The staff still wrote Titan on the medical charts, but between the walls of that place, he was something else entirely. He was Rex. Jonah sat across from Dana, holding the folder that confirmed it. The scars match. The report matches. The location, the fire. Even Ava knew about the red collar. Dana leaned back slowly. "We still need proof. Something undeniable." "We already have it," Jonah said. "We just haven't seen it happen." Dana thought for a moment. "What if we test him?" Jonah frowned. "You mean like a behavior check?" "No," she replied. "A name test. In a controlled space. Ava calls him Rex. If he remembers, he'll show it." The next afternoon, they set up the small room with no cages. Soft floor mats, a chair, a single camera. Rex, still officially Titan, was led in gently. He looked alert, but calm. Tail down, ears up. Ava stood in the doorway, clutching a photo Jonah had printed out, the same one from her family's living room. Her parents, and Rex. Dana nodded. "You ready, sweetheart?" Ava nodded back. She stepped inside slowly. Rex froze. He didn't move toward her. Didn't back away, either. Ava stood 5 feet from him and took a breath. "Rex," she said softly. No reaction. She took one more step. "Rex," she said again, a little louder. His ears twitched. One paw shifted. Then he tilted his head. She knelt to the ground, arms open. "Rex, it's me." For a full second, he didn't move. Then his tail gave a slow wag. Just once, then again, and then. He walked, not rushed, not confused, deliberate, step by step. He made his way to Ava and pressed his head into her chest. She threw her arms around his neck and broke down. "I knew you'd come back," she sobbed. "I knew it." Jonah wiped his eyes from behind the glass. Dana whispered, "It is him." The staff watched in silence. One volunteer said quietly, "I've never seen a dog come back from that far." The camera caught everything. The way Rex leaned his full weight into her. The way he stayed there, even after she let go. He didn't move, didn't even blink. Just stayed right there, breathing with her. Later that day, Rebecca arrived from the foster agency. Dana pulled her aside. "We confirmed it." He responded to his name, not by accident, on purpose. Rebecca asked, "How did Ava react?" "She collapsed into him," Dana said, like her heart had been holding its breath. For 2 years, Rebecca looked through the window. Ava and Rex were curled up in the corner of the room, both dozing, like the world had finally stopped spinning. Jonah came in holding the printed photo. "She brought this today," he said. "She's carried it every day since we let her see." The case file. Rebecca studied the image. "That dog never gave up," she whispered. "Neither did the girl." That evening, the shelter hosted a volunteer meeting. Jonah played the video from earlier the test. The whole room watched in silence. When the clip ended, no one spoke for a full minute. Then Dana said, "We all came into this job to help animals, but sometimes they help us." The next morning, Ava arrived with a paper chain she made in school. "It's for his room," she said. She hung it over the kennel door. It read, "Welcome home, Rex." Rex walked under it without hesitation. Jonah laughed. "Guess that settles it." Even the medical chart got changed that day. The name Titan was crossed out with a red pen. In bold letters, someone wrote, "Rex stopped by afternoon. They did one final test." Dana brought in Rex's old leash, the one that had been left behind, now cleaned but still worn. She handed it to Ava. "Want to try?" Ava clipped it on gently. "Come on, boy." Rex followed without a pause. No tug, no fear, just trust. They walked the perimeter of the shelter together. Staff peeked out from rooms, watching the girl and the dog walk like they'd done it every day of their lives. Ava looked up at Jonah. "Can he come home now?" Jonah crouched beside her. "We're working on it." She looked down. "Please make it fast." The shelter was quiet that morning. Ava sat on the playroom floor beside Rex, one hand resting gently on his back. He lay calmly, head in her lap. His breathing slow. Dana, Jonah, and Rebecca stood just outside the door, watching through the glass. Ava hadn't spoken much since the trust test, but today, something felt different. Jonah whispered, "She hasn't let go of him since she got here." Dana nodded. "She's carrying something." Rebecca stepped forward. "Maybe today's the day she lets it out." Inside the room, Ava started drawing again. This time, she didn't use bright colors, just a black crayon and red dot. She drew a house, then flames, then small girl with wide eyes. Rex, in the corner, was barking in the picture. Jonah slowly opened the door and stepped in. "Ava," he said softly, "that picture. Is that your house?" She nodded without looking up. Before, Jonah sat beside her. "What do you remember about that night?" Ava's hand stopped moving. She looked at Rex, then at Jonah. "I was asleep," she whispered. "It was late. I heard yelling." Jonah listened closely. Mum was screaming. "Dad ran down the hallway," she said. "There was smoke. It came under my door." "What did you do?" "I hid under the blanket," Ava said. "I was scared. But then Rex barked." She pointed to her drawing. "He came into my room. He pulled the blanket. I didn't want to go, but he barked louder." Jonah asked, "Did he lead you outside?" Ava nodded. "He bit the edge of my pajama shirt and dragged me. I followed him to the back door. It was hot. Everything was orange." Rex looked up at her, his tail slowly moving. He pushed the door open with his head. Ava continued, "I ran out. He was behind me. I turned around to tell him to come." She stopped. Jonah said nothing. Ava's voice cracked. He was gone. The fire was there, big and loud. Tears filled her eyes. "I waited," she said, "by the trees. I thought he'd come back. But he didn't." Jonah gently asked, "How long did you wait?" 3 days, Ava whispered. "I didn't know where else to go. I thought maybe if I stayed, he'd find me." Dana had stepped inside now. Her voice was gentle. "Ava, you don't have to carry that memory alone." Ava looked down. "Everyone said he was gone, that he died in the fire. But he didn't," Dana said. "He survived, and he came back." Ava touched Rex's ear. "He saved me," she said. "He didn't run from the fire. He ran into it." Jonah glanced at the sketch in Ava's hand. The picture showed Rex standing in front of the flames, his body between the fire and the girl. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. She's been remembering all of it, but she never said anything. She didn't need to, Dana whispered. He remembered for both of them. Ava leaned down and pressed her forehead to Rex's. I thought I lost you forever. Rex nudged her cheek with his nose, as if to say, you never did. Ava didn't want to leave the shelter that evening, not even when Miriam gently tapped her shoulder. It's time to go, sweetheart. Rex was lying quietly beside her. His eyes followed her every move. Ava stood up slowly, but didn't let go of his paw. Why can't he come with me? She asked. Miriam knelt beside her. Honey, we've talked about this. The foster home isn't set up for big dogs. Ava's face dropped. But he's not just any dog. Rex nudged her hand with his nose. Jonah stood nearby, listening. Ava looked straight at him. He's my family. Jonah exchanged a glance with Dana. Later that night, in the shelter's office. Dana sat with Rebecca, the caseworker I knew. This was coming, Rebecca said. She's already bonded with him, Dana replied. And now that we know Rex is really hers. Rebecca sighed. The problem isn't the truth, it's the rules. Her foster home has a no large dog policy. Jonah leaned in. She told me today, he's all I have left. She didn't say that for drama. She meant it. Rebecca looked at the file on her lap. Ava's been in 4 homes in 2 years. She's never asked to keep anything. Not a toy, not a blanket, not even a photo. And now, Dana asked, she wants this dog. The next day, Ava returned to the shelter, holding something new, an envelope. She gave it to Jonah. Without saying a word, he opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter. Please let me keep Rex. He saved me once. I want to save him now. I will feed him. I will clean up after him. I will never leave him behind. I promise. Love, Ava. Jonah's throat tightened. She wrote this. Ava nodded. Dana stepped in. Ava, come sit with us. She sat down next to Rex, who immediately laid his head on her lap. Ava, Dana said gently, we know how much you love him, and we believe he's your dog, but your foster home has rules. Big dogs aren't allowed. Ava's lip trembled. Why not? They have a small house, Rebecca explained, and they've never taken in a child with a pet before. But Rex isn't a pet, Ava said, her voice cracking. He's mine, Rebecca sighed. I understand, I really do. But we have to follow process. Rex let out a low whine, sensing the tension. Ava buried her face in his fur. He's all I have left. Silence filled the room. No one had a response. Then Rebecca said softly, let me try. Dana looked up. What do you mean? I can call the director, Rebecca said. Ask for an exception. Just one, for Ava and Rex. Ava blinked. Really? Rebecca nodded. No promises, but I'll try. Later that afternoon, Rebecca stood outside the building on her phone. The call was long, quiet, tense. When she returned, Jonah met her by the door. Well? He asked. They want proof, she said. Behavior records. Emotional assessments. A statement from Ava's foster mum. We have all of that, Dana said. Every file, every video. They also want to know Rex won't be a danger. 2 other kids in the neighborhood. Jonah nodded. He hasn't barked at anyone but that one nightmare. We'll vouch for him, Dana added. Rebecca turned to Ava. If this works, Rex might come home, but only if we all work together. Ava nodded, eyes wide. I'll do anything. That night, Rex wouldn't settle until Ava laid down beside him on the floor. She curled next to his side, whispering, "We'll get through this." He closed his eyes and pressed his paw gently over her hand, and waited. By Friday morning, everything was ready that Rebecca got the final approval for a weekend trial. Rex would spend 2 days at Ava's foster home, supervised. No promises, just a test. But to Ava, it felt like something bigger, like hope. When Jonah walked Rex out to the car, Ava was already sitting in the back seat, her arms wrapped around a blanket. Her eyes lit up when she saw him. "Come on, boy," she whispered, patting the seat beside her. Rex jumped in gently, settling right next to her. His body pressed against her legs. "Let's go home," she said. Miriam, her foster mum, glanced back from the front seat. "We're just trying it, remember?" Ava nodded. "I know, but he already knows where we're going." At the house, Rex explored slowly. He sniffed every corner, each room. No barking, no fear. He paused at Ava's bedroom door, then walked in like he'd always belonged there. That night, Ava laid a blanket on the floor beside her bed. But Rex didn't stay there. He climbed up beside her and curled against the wall. Facing the door, "He's guarding her," Miriam whispered to Rebecca over the baby monitor. "She hasn't slept like that in months." Rebecca smiled. "That's what safety looks like." The next morning, Ava woke with Rex's head still resting on her chest. "You stayed the whole night," she whispered, running her fingers through his fur. He opened one eye, then licked her cheek. Throughout the day, he followed her everywhere, to the kitchen, to the backyard, even to the bathroom door. When she played with sidewalk chalk, he sat right next to her, watching. "He's like her shadow," Miriam said. "It's not just loyalty, it's like he's making sure she never disappears again." That evening, Ava set out 2 bowls. One for herself, one for Rex. They ate dinner together in the living room. Miriam watched from the doorway, a soft look in her eyes. Later, while Ava colored at the coffee table, Miriam sat beside Rebecca. "I've had a lot of kids come through," she said. "Most of them carry a sadness. But Ava's was different, heavy, like she'd buried something too deep." Rebecca asked, "And now, she's lighter," Miriam whispered, "like he pulled that sadness out." Rebecca nodded. "They're like 2 halves of the same soul." That night, thunder rolled across the sky. A sudden storm. Loud, sharp dot. Ava flinched in her sleep. Rex stood instantly, tail low, body stiff. Another crash. Ava sat up, breathing fast, but Rex was already there, nudging her hand, licking her fingers. "I'm okay," she said, holding on to him. "You're here." He laid beside her again, closer this time, his body blocking the open side of the bed. The storm faded, but Rex never moved. On Sunday morning, Ava sat on the porch steps with Rex curled beside her. "Do you think they'll let you stay?" she asked. Rex looked up, ears tilted. "I'll be really good," she promised. "I'll do everything right." Miriam stepped outside with a cup of coffee. "He passed," she said gently. Ava turned. "He did." Rebecca stood beside her. "You both did." Ava hugged Rex tight. "You're really staying?" Miriam smiled. "Yes, sweetheart. We're keeping him, together." Rex leaned into her chest. Closing his eyes, he was home. It happened just after midnight. Ava was asleep in her bed. Rex curled at her feet, like always. The storm from the night before had passed, and the house was quiet again, peaceful, until the sound of glass shattered downstairs. Rex's ears shot up. Then he growled, a low, deep sound. Ava had never heard from him before. She sat up, startled. "What is it?" Rex stood, muscles tight, eyes fixed on the hallway. Another noisy door creaked open. Then a heavy footstep. "Rex," Ava whispered. "What's happening?" He didn't look at her. He bolted out of the room. Ava rushed after him, but stopped at the top of the stairs. Rex was already at the bottom, barking, loud, angry. "Who's there?" Miriam shouted from the bedroom. Jonah, who had been staying over to observe the weekend, jumped out of the guest room. "Stay back." A dark figure was near the kitchen window, frozen in place. Rex lunged, barking with a force none of them had ever seen. The intruder panicked, scrambling backward. He shoved the door open and ran into the night. Jonah flipped the lights on and raced down the stairs. Miriam grabbed the phone and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. Ava stayed at the top. Shaking. Rex walked back up slowly. He nudged her hand gently, letting her know it was over. "You protected me again," Ava whispered. Rex licked her hand, tail low but steady. Police arrived minutes later. They took statements, checked the window, and confirmed the lock had been broken. "Looks like someone tried to rob the place," the officer said. "Your dog scared him off before he got anything." "He's not just a dog," Ava said quietly. "He's family." Miriam wrapped her arms around her. Later, after the officers left, Jonah sat with Rebecca and Dana at the kitchen table. "He knew," Jonah said. "He sensed something before we heard a thing." Dana nodded. He didn't hesitate. Rebecca looked at her phone. "I'm pushing the adoption request forward. Tonight, you think they'll approve it this fast?" Dana asked. "I'll make sure they do," Rebecca said. "After what happened, no one's going to argue." Miriam walked in. He stood between the intruder and my family. "I won't let him go." Ava appeared at the door, still holding Rex's collar gently in her hand. "Can I sleep on the couch with him?" she asked. Miriam nodded. "Of course." Rex settled beside her as she curled up under a blanket. She laid her hand on his chest, feeling it rise and fall. "You always know when I need you," she whispered. He stayed awake long after she fell asleep. His eyes never left the door. The morning after the break-in, Rex stayed by Ava's side like glue. He didn't eat until she did, didn't sleep until she curled beside him on the couch. His eyes followed every sound, every shadow, just in case. The danger returned. Miriam noticed the change. "He's watching everything." "He doesn't want to fail her," Jonah said softly. That afternoon, they took him to the vet. Dr. Heller was already waiting, files in hand. "Let's take a look at our hero," she smiled. Rex was calm during the checkup until she reached his left side. The moment her fingers touched the old scar, he tensed. His ears dropped. A soft whimper escaped his throat. Ava stepped forward. "It's okay, she's just checking." Rex looked at her, then slowly relaxed. Dr. Heller studied the healed tissue. "These aren't fresh. These are old burn marks." Jonah handed her Ava's original case file. "Compare that to the report from 2 years ago." The vet scanned the documents. Same location, same side, same size. She looked up. "It's him." Ava smiled. "I knew it." But even with the truth confirmed, the healing wasn't over. That evening, a neighbor lit fireworks 2 blocks away. Just a few small bangs, but Rex jumped to his feet, barking wildly. Ava ran to him. "It's just noise. Just fireworks." Rex didn't stop. He paced the hallway, breathing fast, tail tucked low. Miriam grabbed Ava gently. Let him calm down. Ava didn't leave his side. She crouched down. It's not the fire. It's over now. You're safe. Slowly, his body relaxed. He dropped to the floor and placed his head on her foot. That night, Ava asked to sleep with a light on. I think he gets scared when it's too dark, she said. Miriam nodded. Whatever makes you both feel better. They lay on the floor beside the bed. Ava's fingers in Rex's fur, the soft glow of a nightlight nearby. Did the fire hurt you bad? She whispered. You never cried. Rex didn't move. But I think the part that hurt worse, she added, was being alone. Rex gave a quiet sigh. The next day, Ava drew a picture for her school counselor. It showed a big dog with a bandaged side and a little girl with a flashlight underneath. She wrote, We're scared sometimes, but we're healing together. Jonah read it and nodded. She's not just surviving anymore. Dana agreed. Neither is he. Scars don't always show on the outside. Some are memories, smells, sounds, but even the deepest ones can fade. If you're not healing alone. The morning was quiet, but the house was buzzing with nerves. Ava stood in her best dress, holding tightly to Rex's leash. He didn't move far from her side, his body calm, alert, almost like he knew something big was about to happen. Miriam knelt beside her. Are you ready? Ava nodded. Is he allowed to come in with me? Yes, Rebecca answered. The judge said he wants to see you both. In the car, Rex sat still, watching out the window. Ava kept one hand on his back. The whole time, no matter what they say, she whispered, I'm not letting go. At the courthouse, the room was simple, quiet, a few chairs, one judge, papers stacked in front of him. Ava sat beside Miriam. Rex curled at her feet. The judge looked at the files, glasses low on his nose. So, we're reopening Ava's case for final adoption consideration. Rebecca stepped forward. Yes, Your Honor. Ava's been in the current foster home for 7 months, and we're requesting not just a permanent placement, but to legally attach ownership of her recovered dog, Rex. The judge raised an eyebrow. A German Shepherd? Yes, sir. The same dog she had before the fire. He leaned back. Go on. Miriam cleared her throat. He was found years later, alone, injured, no ID. But the moment Ava saw him in the shelter, something changed. She recognized him, and he knew her. The judge asked, You're saying this is the same dog that rescued her during the fire? Yes, Rebecca said. We have documentation from the vet, matching scar reports, behavior records, and even a written statement from the shelter staff. Ava reached into her backpack and pulled out a small flash drive. Jonah, seated nearby, took it and walked to the screen. May I show the court something? Go ahead, the judge replied. The video began to play. It showed Ava, curled on the floor, sleeping beside Rex, his body pressed tightly against hers, her hand resting on his paw, soft breathing, total stillness. Then a loud sound in the hallway. Rex stood immediately, positioning himself between the door and Ava, growling low. The judge leaned forward. Jonah said, That was the night of the attempted break-in. Ava spoke quietly. He protected me, just like before. The judge said nothing for a long moment. He looked at Ava. You believe this is your dog? The same one from the fire? Yes, Ava said. I remember his eyes. He didn't change. He looked down at Rex, who stared back. Steady and calm, the judge removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "This dog," he said softly, "has been her guardian long before we even knew." Then he smiled. "I see no reason to delay this. Ava Sinclair's adoption is approved, and so is Rex's." Ava's eyes widened. "Really?" The judge nodded. "He's already yours. We're just making it official." Rex wagged his tail for the first time that day. The paperwork was signed that morning. The judge's stamp still fresh on the corner. It was official now. Ava wasn't just staying. Rex was too. He rode home in the back seat, his head resting in her lap. She held the adoption form tight to her chest, like it was made of gold. When they got home, Miriam handed Ava a small box. Inside was a brand new collar, navy blue, soft leather, engraved with a silver nameplate. Ava read it out loud. "Rex found, fought, returned." Jonah smiled from the kitchen. "We thought it fit." Ava reached into her drawer and pulled out something she'd kept hidden for 2 years. The old, burnt tag. It was blackened and bent, the letters barely readable anymore, but it still said Rex. She clipped it to the ring beside the new one. Rex sat still while she buckled it around his neck. "There," she said softly. "Now you have both. One for who you were, and one for who you became." He licked her hand, slow and gentle. Miriam knelt beside them. "So you never forget how strong you are." Ava looked at her. "And how brave you were." Rex nudged both of them and let out a soft huff, like he understood every word. That night, Ava placed the adoption paper under her pillow. "I think it'll help me sleep," she whispered. Rex curled beside her, as always, head against her shoulder. The new tag softly clinking against the old dot, and for the first time since the fire, they both slept through the night. The auditorium lights were low, just enough to see the rows of students shifting in their seats. Teachers lined the back wall. A banner above the stage read, "Rescue Week, real stories, real heroes." Ava stood backstage, holding a note card in her hand. Rex sat beside her, calm and steady. His collar tags clinked softly as he looked up at her. "You sure we can do this?" she whispered. Rex blinked once. "Okay, I'll try." Rebecca gently touched her shoulder. "Just speak from your heart." Miriam added, "No one here knows what you've been through, but they'll understand once they hear you." The principal stepped forward and tapped the mic. "Our next guest is Ava Sinclair. She'd like to introduce someone very special." Ava walked out slowly. The room quieted. Rex walked beside her, his steps even and careful. She reached the podium and took a breath. "This is Rex," she said. "He's not just my dog, he's my family." Someone coughed in the front row. No other sound. Ava looked down at her card, then back at the crowd. "When I was 6, there was a fire. I don't remember everything. Just smoke, yelling, and Rex." She touched his head. "He pushed me out the back door. He stayed behind." A quiet gasp from a teacher in the front row. "I thought he was gone. I waited by the trees for 3 days." She paused. Her voice trembled. "I went to foster homes. I stopped talking. I didn't think I'd see him again." She looked at Rex. His tail tapped the floor gently. "But then I found him, at a shelter. They called him Titan, but I knew better." A smile broke across her face. "He didn't just save me from the fire. He saved me from being alone." A hush fell over the crowd. A boy in the second row wiped his eyes. A teacher reached for tissues. "He's not just a dog," Ava said. He's the part of me that never gave up. Rex lay down beside her feet, completely still, like he knew this moment wasn't his, it was hers. She stepped back from the mic. The room stayed silent for a beat. Then applause. Slow, then faster. Standing, cheering. Jonah, Dana, Rebecca all wiping their eyes. Miriam hugged her at the steps. You were amazing. Ava knelt beside Rex. You did it too. He rested his head on her knee, and for the first time, Ava stood, taller than her past. A week after Ava's school speech, the shelter was doing some spring cleaning. Jonah was going through old storage bins in the back archive room boxes. No one had touched in years. He flipped through dusty intake reports, flyers, donation records, then paused at a plastic envelope tucked deep in the bottom. Inside were a few Polaroids, faded but still clear. Old adoption day photos, most unlabeled. One photo made him stop. A little girl, brown hair, big eyes, smiling between two adults, a man and a woman, and beside them, sitting tall and proud, a German shepherd. Jonah looked closer. No way, he whispered the girl was Ava, and the dog thick coat, soft eyes. Familiar tilt of the head was Rex. He turned the photo over. Someone had written in pen, Sinclair family, visit day, 2 days before placement, 11/18. Jonah's hands trembled. That was the same week as the fire. He ran out of the room, photo in hand. Dana, he called. You need to see this. She looked up from her desk. What is it? He handed her the picture. Her eyes widened. That's Ava, and that's Rex, Jonah said. This was taken right before it all happened. Dana stared at it in silence. Jonah added, we need to give this to her. Later that day, they placed the photo in a wooden frame, simple and clean. They tied a blue ribbon around it and added a note that read, for the day you remember everything and never feel alone again. When Ava arrived that afternoon, Rex trotted ahead as usual, tail wagging. Jonah called her over. We found something in the archives. Thought you should have it. She opened the gift slowly. The moment her eyes landed on the photo, she gasped. That's my mum and dad, she whispered. Her fingers traced the image. And Rex, Miriam stepped beside her. You remember this day? Ava nodded. We were picking him up from the shelter. He was scared. But Dad brought a toy, and Mum said he looked like a wolf. Rex stared at the photo like he knew it too. Jonah smiled. It was taken 2 days before the fire. Ava held it tight. We were a family, Dana whispered. You still are, in a new way. One of the volunteers, watching from a distance, leaned toward Megan and said, That's the dog that came back from the dead. Megan nodded. No, that's the dog that never gave up. Later that evening, Ava placed the photo on her nightstand. She looked at Rex, lying by the door. I'm going to remember them now, she said. Not just the fire, the good stuff too. Rex blinked slow, like he understood. Then Ava added, softly, because you remembered for me, until I was ready, and for the first time, the past felt like something they could live with, not run from. The courthouse steps felt taller than they looked. Ava stood at the bottom, holding Rex's leash with one hand and Miriam's hand with the other. Her new shoes squeaked slightly as she took a breath. Rebecca gave her a nod. You ready, Ava? Smiled. He is. Rex looked up at her like he understood everything. Inside the courtroom was calm. No jury, no suits, just a few familiar faces, the judge from before, and a table filled with the last of the paperwork. Ava Sinclair. The judge began, "You've waited a long time for this. Today, we finalize your adoption into the Matthews family." Miriam squeezed her shoulder gently, and along with this, the judge added, "We confirm that Rex formerly Titanize registered in your name. Officially." Ava looked down at Rex. "You hear that?" She whispered, "You're mine, for real." He rested his chin on her foot. The judge signed the final document, then looked at Ava again. "Would you like to say anything?" She stood slowly. "When I lost my parents," she said, "I thought I lost everything." Her voice shook but didn't break. "But Rex, he found me. And when I found him again, I remembered who I was." She looked at the judge. "We're not just surviving anymore. We're living." The judge smiled. "Then let's call this what it is, your first day home." Applause broke out. Quiet, gentle, full of meaning. Outside the building, Ava stepped into the sunlight, Rex at her side. "No more cages," she whispered. He wagged his tail. "No more shelters." He leaned against her leg. "No more wondering if we belong." She crouched down and hugged him tight. "We made it." Jonah took a photo as they stood there, framed by the courthouse doors. A girl and her dog, finally whole. Dana turned to Miriam. "They saved each other." Miriam nodded. "And now they get to grow up together." That night, Ava placed the courthouse photo next to the old one, the one with her parents and puppy Rex, side by side. Then she curled up beside him on the rug. "You waited," she said, "and I found you." Rex let out a long sigh and rested his head in her lap. For the first time in years, they were home. Did this story touch your heart? Give it a thumbs up, share it around, and drop your location in the comments.